Hi there, welcome to my retrospective here in Brooklyn, sponsored by Arts Gowanus. So do you want to take a look? Follow me. So I've divided this up into different categories. And I have before my foreheads, which are these, I only had two pieces, but they're like these stained glass kind of Picasso-esque pieces that I labored over. But there's quite a lot of those, and like I used to give these to my friends, but these are the two I have in my collection. All right, those two right there. This is a piece I did in London at this very inspiring teacher's class. It was a Wednesday drawing class from 9 to 5. We went all over the city, and this was a piece he said, we need two self-portraits, 1 by 1 foot, and I thought he meant 1 by 1 foot, so I did that with my foot. But he just meant size, anyway, I love that piece for that reason. Anyway, the one thing he did say is, and it was a throwaway line, but I really took it to heart, as you can see. He said, in art, it's better to know an inch really well than a mile not so well. And so I think that was pretty accurate, and that's the advice I give to younger artists. Know a little piece of, know a little piece and just stay with it, and there's a lot of growth that happens within that little space. So this is my first forehead, and that started the whole thing, and I did that piece. I did a piece for Stuff magazine. It was pictures to the editor, and I would every month I would have a different forehead. But I did these for like 5 years, and you can kind of see this is train of thought, and this is I want to be like him, and I want to be like him, and just like the things I was kind of going through, And this is subject matter. My friend Joe Quattro bought this for my very first show, and it really is. This is subject matter, and it's still very relevant. Come on. And then I did these collage pieces. I was in Chicago, and actually I was taking a collage class, and I did these collage pieces from my cut-up monoprint rejects, and I still do that. This is I started this in '87, and I still do it. You'll see, but I am stuck on this. And it was nice. And then, I lost the combination. There's a lot of these pieces that are just in different people's collections, but I got just basically, it's kind of an abridged version of my career in a way. It's not, this is so a little slice of what I do, but I was trying to be representative of what I do. This is my abstract forehead, which I love, because what happens is I start leaving the forehead, the cartoon, and start getting more into painting and capturing people, and then just getting to more painterly, and I had a talent for it, so I wanted to do it, and that's what I spent the next 15, 20 years doing, forehead portraits. This is actually Hrvinik and Spiebel. They're Czechoslovakian Muppets, like the Ernie and Bert of Czechoslovakia. I had a show there in 1992. But this is one I did of my father, and he sat for me, and this is, again, the monoprint collage. This also has the monoprint collage underneath it. This is my nude portrait. I did this in Washington, D.C. in '92, and I love that piece. It was very magical. And then this is Moses. In a way, it's my first rabbi portrait, and I got this from a collector. And he now lives in North Carolina. But I was trying to getting this retrospective together was really a lot of work, and it was great because I got to be in touch with people I haven't been in touch with, and I also was able to, see people's collections. Some people have so many of my work. It's really nice. This is Chairman Mao in Love. This is Jesus, from a collection in North Carolina as well. This is my wife, Barbara. I did this from Life in Provincetown one summer. This is a nice portrait. This gets a lot of love in this show. And this is Bert, and I had to have a Bert in this show. I did so many Berts, I want to say thousands, but it probably wasn't thousands. But it was pretty, I've sold every one, and these are actually pretty valuable right now. And so he had to be represented. This is actually a great story with this because he was found. It's a long story. I'll tell you that later. But anyway, that's the bird. I also had this last painting in my last retrospective. I had this the last bird, which is Bert Leaves Easter Market, which is the last bird I did because I didn't want to do Bert anymore. So that's why there's no more birds. But he's got a great forehead. That's how I chose him to begin with. So then, I have here's some more of my forehead portraits. This is Deirdre, my good friend, in my Capitol Hill studio, which was right across from the Supreme Court. This is actually a piece a little later. It wasn't really a forehead, but it was, it's just, I did this in London when I went back in '98. This is actually a Palestinian woman, and, I dated her briefly when I was living in Israel, but I did this afterwards from sketches. This is a driftwood piece. This is actually, I got my family, we were in Great Falls, and I got my family to carry out all this great driftwood, and I did this piece. It's really the only one I've done like this. And this is then what happens is in '94, I moved to Israel with my best friend, Andy Gensler. We go to Israel, we live in Tel Aviv, and we're having the time of our life. But we went there because we wanted to explore Judaism, and then what happened was Ariel Horowitz was kind of like the first rabbi we met. He would come by our apartment in Tel Aviv, and and he would come by and bring pastries, and we'd have coffee together. I really liked him a lot. You can see his sweetness. I did his portrait. And then he basically says, why are you in Tel Aviv? You should be in Jerusalem. That's Israel. Tel Aviv is Sin City, Go to Jerusalem. And we were like, yeah, after 3 months, we should be going to Jerusalem. So we went to Jerusalem, and that really did had a profound effect on me. I mean, I ended up studying in a yeshiva for a little bit. I didn't stay, but I started painting my teacher, which is this man, and it was a fictional version, a little bit of a caricature, but I kept doing these, and these became what I did, and I still do these rabbi portraits. And this is the 12 tribes, and all the different rabbis, so they're funny, I mean, someone actually said to me, what's something you have in common, all your work has in common is the humor. And it's true, I have humor in my work, and I like humor. And so we go on. This is Tolerance, which is Bert and the Rabbi. It's the first time I put Bert and the Rabbi together, and I did that a lot. I have a woodcut version of this, and this is I did this actually in 2002 after September 11th, but the Rabbi and the Imam called Cousins. This is to me, this was in '98. This was like a breakthrough piece. I love it. Just that's again, when you keep doing an image, there's breakthroughs that happen, small ones, but I love this one. This is in my collection. Some of these are from my collection. That one's from my collection too. This is my woman rabbi, my rabbi with a Torah. And the first time I did a woman rabbi, and I did many versions of this. And this is my peace offering, equating peace with gumballs, but, as naive as it is, you have to pursue it, and you have to go for it. And I love that he's presenting gumballs. This is actually a mural in New Orleans. A lot of people have seen that. And it was based on this painting. This is like more of a very Chagall kind of piece, a rabbi approaching a fictitious city. I like this one. This is like a very Chagall kind of city. And I like the scale. This piece right here is just a piece, I found this in an antique shop. It's actually from a piano. It's actually the thing that goes on the bottom. What are those? The pedals. It connects the pedals. It goes backwards, but anyway. I love this one. Come on this way. Hurry up. This is my kids. These are my kids. Lucy and Nathan. I did this. Lucy literally sat for me. She was like an angel. She just sat for me, and I was able to do that from life. Nathan didn't sit for me, but I love that he was obsessed with, his PlayStation, and that was a bar mitzvah portrait. This is my self-portrait. I did actually, what inspired this piece was a piece I did, me and Belinda, my sister, had a show together, and this was in that show. And we both did self-portraits in that show. And this also, what starts to happen now is that I start putting monoprint in the background. And that's like a lot of my, you'll see when you go around the corner, you'll see all my work now has this like texture, and I love it. Just breaks it up, it just gives it more meaning. There's a lot of symbols in the texture, so it's a lot to look at. Here we go. So this is my animal portraits. And my animal portraits are kind of what I've been doing since I moved to New York in 2000, 1999, 2000. And I've been pretty much, my animals have really are my bread and butter, and they've kind of what I do mostly. Of course, I still do my rabbis, I still do my commissions, but this is women dancing on a dog, and literally all these pieces have the collage in them. That's my self-portrait, dancing off a goat. And then I also have this is the Lost Circus Elephant is a particularly amazing piece because I did this, my dad died the day before. I was commissioned by Ringling Brothers to do their, literally their last circus elephant, because they were pulling their elephants out of the circus. And I did this portrait. It was a crazy story, but my dad died on a Sunday. Monday was my appointment to go to the elephant sanctuary, and it's a circus elephant sanctuary, so it was very funny. They were like playing ball and all that. But anyway, this elephant sat for me, and actually I got very emotional. I had probably the biggest cry of my life, and I had this, my guide literally had an elephant sit for me, and I was on the ground and I did many sketches of this, and this became the painting that they own, and that's a memory, There's a lot of, these can be, things, and then, but the other thing I should say also is this is when I started putting things on heads. Like all my animals, that's really when I started doing a lot of different objects and food and on the heads of my subject matter. This is a commission, a mint bucket. This is a very prized possession of this family in Virginia. And I borrowed this painting for the show. This horse, I like it. And again, the collaging in the background. This is a circus collage. Back to the elephant. This is just a circus. You can get that. I did this during COVID. It's my dog, Luca. He's obsessed with toilet paper and all paper products. I got to capture that. And so this is actually one of my favorite paintings. This is like the recital. I did this for actually note cards for Barnes & Noble. Did these for me. But they sold out pretty fast, and we never reordered them, but there's a whole series of these. I did a cat version. Someone criticized the show because there's no cats in the show, and so I should have maybe put a cat in the show. But this is like, again, the chick playing the cello, the recital it's called. This is a Haggadah cover. I did a Haggadah, I made my own Haggadah, and I made a cover, and this is the cover, kosher for Passover, and it's the Paschal Lamb, and again, the collage. I love the scale of this one. I had to put an ostrich. I do so many ostriches, as you might know, and there's only one in this show. But I had to include this one because this is an ostrich with a strawberry trying to impress Washington D.C. And I don't know if he's succeeding, but there it is. This is actually a silkscreen print I made from it. This is another dog portrait, a truce with the squirrel. This dog hates squirrels. And I'm sure that squirrel hates dogs. Come along. And this is another one. This is a dog with blue watermelon. Again, part of that series, the note cards that Barnes & Noble made me. I have this red heifer with a frog. I've been doing a lot of red heifers over the years. It's a biblical animal. And when I was in Israel, I did my first one. But I love this one. I love the frame on this one. It's incredible. It's actually one of the most incredible frames. I think the frame makes the piece. And again, the beautiful collage in the background. The Reluctant King. This has been in my studio for a long time. It just gets a lot of love, and this had to be in my show. I've done many versions of this. A lot of these pieces I've done versions of, so this is like, the first one, and, just a reluctant king, and people say it looks like Nixon, Art Garfunkel, Stephen Wright, the comedian. Got a big forehead. Lincoln, I started doing historical portraits a couple years ago, and this is Lincoln. I love this piece, like in modern day New York, with a bird telling him secrets. These are this is my CB, my synagogues, the clergy. I have one more to do, but hopefully they will go to CBE. But each one has its own collage and their own, its own character. This was the last piece I did for the show. He actually sat, Matt Green, Rabbi Green, sat for me from to 2 in the morning. But I just thought of wine, and he actually talked about a spider web, being in the middle of a spider web, and actually as in terms of spreading Judaism. So so all these got these beautiful collages. This is actually, this is our cantor, Josh, Rabbi, Rachel. Okay, and this one is the Rebbe. This was a commission I did for actually a family member, my brother-in-law's sister and her husband. I really, when I do these pieces, he's not alive anymore. So when I did his portrait, I listened to his words and I listened to his biography, and I think, and again, the collage is a big part of it. There's Torahs, there's birds, there's a lot, and it's, there's a menorah, there's a little earth, and he's like an amazing guy. And I did this portrait, so it's not just working from a photograph, so it's got that. So anyway, this got a lot of love. This is Rabbi Hecht. He sat for me. If you look closely, you can actually see the collage. He sat for me while I did this. It's all paper, all cut up monoprints. Similar to my father's portrait in the other room, just using paper to capture someone. This is Flacco, done on another nice, beautiful collage. I love this bird, and I followed him, and he escaped Central Park Zoo. They only thought he was going to live a week, and he lived actually a year. He'd never been a free bird, so people thought, how is he going to survive? But it was amazing. He really did amazing. I mean, there was all these, Flacco cams and people taking photographs on their air conditioning, and I know. And then he died of rat poison, but hence that's my tribute to him. Frederick Douglass, I love him too, man. I loved his biography. I listened. This is a well-known photograph of him, but I of course, I added my own touches on the collage, and I listened to his book and his words while I was doing this, so that became a sensory overload on Frederick Douglass. This is a piece that I did during COVID, but it's like, it's my, it's sort of based on the Woman Rabbi a little bit, but thinking about a lobster, and I love the collage in this one. This is actually a frame I got in Mexico, and I schlepped it all around, but it's like a beautiful old frame. Okay, and then there's more. There's like there's a couple more. Come on, and then there's this the pelican portrait, which I just did actually. This wall, by the way, all these, the Flacco portrait and I just did these in the last couple months. This is the only pelican portrait I did in Miami. I love pelicans, and again, it's the elongation here. And then I did this portrait of Rick and Jen. This was like one of my first commissions I did when I was in New York, and they're king and queen. That's their fictitious kingdom. And then that's it, I think. And then the last one is my, oh yes, come, I forgot about this one. This is a recent piece. I did this with my friend Sean Qualls, who does this magician character, and he wears kind of like a rabbi hat, and we were at a party one night, and we were like, we should put our characters together, because I have my rabbi. So these two characters, his magician, his young magician, and my rabbi have been in many different paintings together, and they really get along well, and it's been fun, and we've sold very well, and it's been great because as we've done this art together, we've become closer. So it's like our art, it's like art mimicking life, and life mimicking art, and it's been great. This we did in New Orleans, and that's actually New Orleans right there. Okay, and so, yeah, and then the last thing is, well, I just want to show you the Statue of Liberty. This is the piece that really sums up the moment right now. It's just like, I know it's the Liberty anxious. And she's anxious. I used to call it Liberty slightly anxious. But that's the Liberty anxious. I've been doing a lot of them. And then the ketubah. The last but not least is my sister's ketubah. Like when I had my 50th birthday party retrospective, I had many ketubahs. And this is a ketubah. This is like one of my favorite ones. This is them flying. And this is in Central Park, and this is their dog that brought them together, and this is these two puppets that kind of represent them in the Sierra Nevadas and in Paris. Anyway, I do a lot of these ketubahs, and they're a big part of my artwork. And I think that's it. You know, it's a great space. I'm really fortunate to have this opportunity to have this show, and it's been well received, and thank you very much for listening to me. Bye.